Let's stick on economics just for a minute here, because Trump talked a lot about trade. That's been, Gina, his kind of signature issue, trade. He cited Lincoln, he cited Washington, comments that I think sounded a lot to the business community as protectionist, that he wants to not, make sure that we don't do these, as he calls them, horrible trade deals. But at the same time, they sound like anti-trade comments. A lot of people in business are worried about them. Why shouldn't they be?
They shouldn't be, because I don't think that Mr. Trump has in mind, I don't even think he has any motivation to do anything that is ever going to hurt America. He's made it very clear his #1 priority is going to be making America strong, economically strong again, where we have somebody like Hillary Clinton to contrast that with somebody who says that 15, 16 years ago when she came out of the White House was flat broke, and she pretty much goes to the crony capitalist high bidder. That's
but Gina, on this issue of jobs, he keeps saying over and over, I'm going to bring jobs back, I'm going to bring them back, and they're going to be high-paying jobs. I mean, but how is he going to do that? Do you have any idea?
You know, I bet nobody asked him that before he founded 500 different companies. He's the only one in the race who has ever created an actual job.
Right, but he's not going to hire the people himself. He's not going to hire people himself.
No, but
he's bringing jobs back from overseas. He keeps saying it over and over.
Trump steaks. He's going to start back Trump steaks.
If you've never worked in the private economy, I don't see how you can think you're going to create private sector jobs.
Right. To be serious, Emily, I mean, it's a joke that Trump's. But but these jobs overseas pay far less. For a reason. The standard of living is far lower in many of these countries, so how is he going to bring them back? I mean, I don't know that we've ever gotten an answer to that. He just says, I'm going to bring the jobs back.
Right. No, I mean, we're very far from getting an answer from him, and I think part of that is because his plans don't make any sense. They don't make any sense economically. It is very protectionist. It is very isolationist, and it's not realistic about the global economy that we're in right now, which is why a lot of people who are traditional economic Republicans are saying, look, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, he's just looking to rear up the base, which is why they were looking for him to say something. They're looking for anything to hang their hat on, because they've never voted Democratic in their lives, potentially. But look, she has some real policies and is realistic about a global economy, and he's just using taglines. So it's very hard for people to
issues politically, which we're going to get into a little bit later on. But to that point, I think it was, and this speaks to trade a lot, it was interesting that Trump started making a pitch for the Bernie Sanders folks. I mean, remember, they really supported Sanders, I would think, because of his, in some cases, his trade policies, and he's as anti-trade as Trump is. Listen to this.
The insiders wrote the rules of the game to keep themselves in power and in the money. That's why we're asking Bernie Sanders voters to join our movement, so together we can fix the system for all Americans, so important.
Okay, so Gina, what's interesting, though, about that is that Bernie Sanders is, by his own account, a Democratic socialist. So his approach to these problems would be far different, even if he agrees with Trump that we have issues on trade. Do you think any of these Sanders supporters, or enough of them, will come over to Trump?
Well, already when polled, somewhere between a third and a fourth of them say that they're going to support Mr. Trump. And I think it's because they do see, it's funny, nobody ever says it's unrealistic when we talk about sending jobs overseas. But when we talk about bringing those jobs back from overseas, then all of a sudden that's somehow unrealistic. I don't really understand the connection there, or the disconnect there, as it were.
Well, it's an economic one. I mean, they pay far less. I mean, we just pay people more here. Our standard of living is far higher here. So, we're just wondering how you're going to bring a job back from China. I mean, Charles Payne was giving the example of a $4,000 a year job in China that would pay someone 50 or 60 grand here in the U.S. And how you do that that was the question. That's what the people look at and say.
Well, I think if our economy were in a healthier position after this 8 years of Obama and Hillary messing things up, I think if our economy is in a stronger position, we will be in a position to bring those jobs back and to pay them well.
Right.
I also think that when the union members start to understand that the union bosses are colluding with the government to send jobs overseas, I think then we'll be getting a lot more of those union-type jobs that'll be more in the private sector, and they'll be paid better as well.
Emily, give me a quick thought to wrap us up here as to whether you're worried about Sanders supporters going over to Trump. You think that'll happen?
Look, Sanders himself is saying that he will do anything to prevent Trump from being the president. His supporters could not be any more idealistically different than Trump's supporters. The thing they like is they like the outsider. And the outsider moment is kind of coming to a close. Trump showed that as himself in this speech today. He's not really running as the outsider anymore. In fact, he can't, because he is the establishment. So if that's the piece that they were liking in the primary process, that piece no longer exists.